you ever have someone close to you that you decided to tell them how you really felt because you were just so seriously burnt out and their lack of respect for you was so diminished, and they had this weird obsession with projecting onto you at the end of any vacation or time that they would come to visit you. So, lo and behold, you decided to really tell them that you felt like your feelings were minute to them, that you felt like you were of little value to them, and they kept using you as a doormat. And honestly, this cycle has gone on in my life for years, and I'm not really going to share who it is, but it's kind of challenging when that person is supposed to have a warm relationship with you, and you are the only one putting in the effort to keep this relationship alive because you're supposed to just brush off the stuff that they tell you, the mean things that they say, and the fact that they say that you're not even an empathetic person like someone else in your family. And when you let this get to you, it really eats away. No lie. I decided to cancel a trip to see my family because I was so sick and tired of being diminished, and the lack of respect was so obvious that I was very hurt. And honestly, I've never felt this hurt before. And maybe because I was never this in tune with my emotion and feelings, but I really let it get to me. And now I'm feeling like I'm glad I decided to not go on this trip, because why would I want to spend time with people that really do not feel the same as I do about them? Why would I want to spend time with people that want to criticize me, critique me, give me feedback in every move I make, and say that I'm not good enough every turn that I make? Why would I want to be with a person that really doesn't understand how I feel or isn't emotionally in tune with the way that I feel? Because at one point, something's got to give. And this thing that's got to give is the fact that I value myself to let myself know for a fact that I will not subject myself to this type of behavior toward me anymore. Why should I? All I wanted from this was my mom to apologize. My mom to say, I know how you feel, I see it, and I won't do it again. Yet she waited till we got to the airport, and she said, yeah, I am sorry. But it was too late. And it was too late because she already said and did the painful things that hurt me. She already threw a dagger in my back and tried to pull the sword out. But instead she twisted the sword just in time for her to let herself go. And honestly, it was really painful. Honestly, it was beyond painful because I was really working hard at maintaining this mental capacity that allowed me to be present. I was working so hard on being present in my life and being one with the emotion, one with the feeling, that I really didn't understand why I was here. Why was this person allowed in my life to ruin and tarnish something that I worked so hard to preserve? Why was I letting it get to me so bad? Why was I so hurt internally that when it happened, I honestly couldn't stop thinking about it? I was so injured by this decision that I thought, why? Why am I here? And it's interesting because the patterns in life that repeat themselves are so evident over time that when it really gets to a point that you really understand that you're in a pattern cycle, that you need to make a change. You need to make a change somewhere in your life. And that's when you step in and you say, I want to make a change, and this is what I'm going to do to make the change effective. Because if not, the cycle continues, and this thing happens again and again and again. The last time I visited, I remember the thing happened. And I feel like each time they tell me they understand how I feel, they understand XYZ about me, I don't think they really do. I think that they're just saying it because if they really understood, they wouldn't make these mean, demeaning comments. And if they feel bad and haven't taken accountability for their past or whatever has gone on in their life, they're the ones that need to really show up for themselves and really show the other person that they truly care instead of pushing them away with these demeaning comments and rude things. And for me, it's a struggle because I really struggle to understand why I'm here again. Why? And I honestly believe in the power of prayer. I tell myself, what am I going to do to make myself safe and value myself and my family over deciding to choose to be with someone or visit with someone that might be hurting my values, my thoughts, and my mindset. And that's where you make the change. You make the change and you set the boundary, and you understand that you have to be consistent with the change because the pattern will repeat if not. And circle back to 1.5 years ago when this did happen, and I was leaving for the airport from New York. And honestly, a situation happened. And, I'm really ready to go to the airport, and then they bring up this topic that's controversial, and I get berated by it because they don't want to respect my decision and my choice and my reasoning for why I think the way I think and why I believe the way I believe. And honestly, it gets out of hand. And honestly, it gets to the point where I do not feel comfortable, and I'm crying on the way to the airport when my uncle is taking me to the airport. Story is that history repeats itself, and if you do not make the change to skip or upset the pattern, it repeats itself. So be aware. Mindset, values, and telling yourself it's going to be okay is what changes the pattern. And that's what you have to work on to change that pattern in your life. That cycle of death, that cycle of rebirth where you are not one with yourself, your feelings, and you feel detached because you feel so burnt out from the struggle that you have handled again and again and again in life, because the same thing keeps happening over and over again, and you have people around you that don't understand it, and you have to be in tune with yourself to understand to take the step back.